Oh, look at that. That's gone wrong, isn't it? I didn't want that bloody view. Let's change that. That's much better anyway. Hello and welcome to episode number 73 of Talking Points. I am SUBSRCRIBE and this is Paxton Road TV. And as you can already see, I was going to try and do a bit of a surprise, but they popped up already. In the house, we have Sean Hurl and we have Spurs, Paxton Road TV maestros. Good evening, gentlemen. Are we all right? Are we doing? I'm just going to adjust my camera slightly. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. All right. Comfortable. How are we doing? All right?
We're all good. All good. Yourself?
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy the weekend and then the game. And I thought we'd do something to kind of discuss that. What can we do? We've seen it all before. We see the team play in this way. The difference, I think, at the moment is mentality. We've been able to get through games. We've nicked them, but I wouldn't say it was the best of the game. Siju was there on Saturday. On Saturday, it was Saturday, wasn't it? Early kickoff, 12:30. Yeah, give me a quick what your thoughts were of the game before we get into the show.
Very slow start. I mean, I think what we said in the review, the preview show on Thursday, the fact that we was going to destroy them is going to be an easy win. Blah 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 blah. And then we did mention the fact that they have got a good record away from home. You know, they have beaten us. They beat us last season as well. So it was going to be a tough game, but we didn't see it at that. And it turned out to be that way, unfortunately. You know, I don't know what it is with us at home, and we just don't turn up for the first 20, 25 minutes in a lot of the games.
Yeah, go. Sorry.
I was going to say, and it just took, I think the fans were getting a bit frustrated. I don't know if you thought the same as well. I think the fans were getting a bit frustrated. Certain players weren't playing that well, and then it took a little bit of whatever happened at halftime, a couple of substitution changes for us to nick the win, and it literally was nicking the win, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a nick. It was definitely a steal if you look at the stats in terms of, you know, control of the game. And I guess that's more of an eye test in terms of looking at the game. Sean, I know you weren't at the game, but have you managed to catch up with it on Spurs play? I told you not to bother, but if you did anyway, it's up to you if you did.
I think I took your advice, Sam, and I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it because I want to, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think not. God, it seems to be famine or feast at Spurs fans at the moment. I mean, it's just yeah, at the moment it's we're getting back into the swing of things. We've got 7 points in the equivalent games last season. We didn't get any points in these games, so I don't, you know, I'm not panicking. It's not the end of the world that we're conceding so much possession against teams that we've played so far. Even Chelsea didn't really, you know, I mean, hammer us. I mean, they had, I think they had the same number. No, they had actually less shots on target than we did in the end. So it's, you know, I'm not gonna panic so far. There are things that need to be done, and I've looked at some of the formation things that we need to look, you know, which is obviously the subject of tonight's show. But I think, yeah, I mean, 7 points out of 9. That was my par for these 3 games.
But
and 7 points, the next 7 points out of the next 3 games, that's par as well.
Sean, I think what you said is correct. The fact that they didn't hammer us like Leeds hammered them, number one, right? And secondly, have you been talking to Conte? Because Antonio Conte said in his press conference the other day after the game, and he said, yes, last season we lost the first 3 games. This season, we lost to Wolves, we've won. We lost to Chelsea, we've got a point. We lost to Southampton, we've got 3 points. So we're 7 points up from last season. And I'm like, I've heard this before. Where's this come from? This young man here.
Yeah, definitely Sean been spotting that. And it's true. I mean, it's true. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know, let's just, you know, hold our horses and not get too carried away. You know, there are other teams, including a couple who are playing tonight, are in a far worse situation than we are. You know, so let's you know, let's not, you know, panic just yet. I think there are little adjustments that Conte himself admitted he made in the second half. He brought, you know, but we'll go into that, no doubt.
Yeah, there's so many different things you can do to, because what I think, this is going to be our premise, our starting point. I don't think Conte's too keen on changing his system from a 3-4-3, a 3-4-2-1, however you want to call it. I don't think he's too keen on disrupting that midfield too. We've seen him go kind of change when he had to in the Chelsea game, went to a 4-2-4, depending on what they were doing. And we can see subtle adaptations to the system to get players into position to get them onto the ball. But essentially, we're playing with two midfielders, and that's the basis of what we're going to try and work off today. So just to again, people saying, "Oh, what's the title of the show called? Why have you called it that?" It's called this: How Spurs Adapt System to Control Games. What a lot of people thought I'd meant was how we adapted the system to control Wolves. I don't think we controlled Wolves. This is the point. I don't think we've controlled any game apart from that Southampton game, and that was post 20 minutes onwards. Chelsea game, we obviously saw the result in that, but the control of the game was definitely with Chelsea. And just going by the stats, so 50-50 possession in terms of, this is against Wolves, 11 shots to us, 20 shots to them, 4 shots on targets, 3 shots on targets to them, 8 corners to their 6, fouls 10 and 8. So 50-50 game in terms of possession. It didn't feel like that to me. I don't know what it felt like to you, Sid, but I'm gonna, this is the 3 points. Well, I'm gonna start with the first one, because there are a number of things you can do to improve, I think, how they can control games. Right. The first thing I'm going to look at is passing. I don't know what was going on with some of these players, but some of the passing was abysmal. And I'm talking just normal, 15-yard passes, making the right decision, playing passes into players who are in a position to be able to either turn, receive the ball on a half turn, or can play the next pass easily. Too many times we kept playing that ball, trying to find these passing lanes into Bentancur or Højbjerg. And they had 3 players in front and 2 players behind our 2 midfielders. And they still kept trying to find this. Dyer kept trying to do it. I see Ben Davies try it a couple of times. Then Dyer would try and play a little bit long. And it was all over the place. We don't seem to have, apart from Harry Kane, Dyer to a degree sometimes. Who else in our team has got good passing range, who's got the ability to make them passes, pinpoint accuracy, such it doesn't put these players under pressure? You can't control games if the fundamentals of your passing isn't right. So, Sid, again, I'll start with you because I know you was there. When you saw, because I don't know what you thought, but I thought the passing was particularly bad in the first half. It got better in the second half, but again, there are still players who don't seem comfortable in making what I consider to be quite simple passes, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's not just this season. I think it's been like that for the last couple of seasons. Last season as well, a lot of the home games. This formation that he's playing, and it's like what you're saying. It's simple passes that you're taught at grassroots levels. We try to pass through players, just rather than go around them or look at that simple pass. We tend to go like, let's go through that player, or let's, and the weight on the passes, accuracy, it's bread and butter. But for some of these lot, I don't know what it is, whether they're just trying to prove a point to the manager, whether they're frustrated in the game itself, in the formation, where they're thinking we're not getting enough space. But like you said, Sam, there was a lot of times when they've got all the time in the world and whatever, and it's a simple control and pass the ball. And they can't do that sometimes. It's a simple Emerson or Sessignon, whoever it is, I've got the ball straight down the line. But to them on the pitch, to me, when I'm sat, it's a straight line. But to them, it must be going in and out and ziggy-zag, because the ball's going that way, instead of a simple straight pass. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure every single day in training, they must do passing drills. You see, before the game starts, simple passing. They do it, but then when it comes to match play, they can't do it. So I don't know. Honestly, I just do not understand it. And it's not something that's just happening in one game. It's a continuity. It happens a lot. And like you said, apart from Kane, Dyer occasionally, Bentancur can do it every now and then. Højbjerg tries it, but 1 in 5 or maybe 1 in 4 pays off. But even Kulu and even Son and people like, you expect him to, but it doesn't happen. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the answer is to that.
And we have seen, sorry, Sean, I'll come to you. I just wanted to add, I've seen some goals where we've made, played out from the back. We've made some intricate passes. We've got the ball down. We've played it and we've got in front of the goal and we scored. I've seen a number of goals last season, some really good intricate passing, but there's some fundamentals that go with that. So passing doesn't just happen on its own. There has to be movement. There has to be, players in position, players who are comfortable. So I'm not saying individually the passing wasn't great, because it wasn't, but there's other fundamentals that kind of help if you are, getting into the right space. If you're getting into on the half turn, particularly if you haven't got your head down, there's certain things, if you're going to make a pass to a player that you kind of look for, and this is basic coaching. So I know that we can do it. It's just that I don't know if teams have it's like, okay, so I see them, Dyer and Davis, trying this ball into this Bentancur, Højbjerg in the middle, and we all know that they do it. They play that into that passing lane. One of them kind of looks up, maybe plays it out wide, or sometimes Harry Kane drops in to try and look for that. If you screen that off, that passing lane's not on, and there's a number of players in the middle, where's the space going to be? It's going to be out wide. But I'm not sure we've got players in the wide areas, particularly on the right-hand side. I know Perisic played on Saturday, but they don't seem to be really comfortable in playing the ball out wide and letting them wide players kind of do their thing on that wide area. Because I saw Kulusevski kind of go out, Emerson kind of come into the midfield, which is a good ploy to change the passing lanes. But I didn't see him receive the ball too many times in that midfield area. Sean, is there any other things that you've seen from a fundamental of the passing that you think these guys can improve on? I've seen Dyer with his long balls, but we've got players in the squad, Longlet particularly at the back, who is a good passer. Do you not think it's time that we see somebody like him play?
To be fair, I think Dyer and Davis have been okay at progressing, passing the ball. It's just, I don't know why they weren't using, as you said, the wide spaces. There seem to be fullbacks available from the clips that I have seen. They just didn't seem to use them. And it seems to be that they go to the double pivot to create that, and we all know that Conte ball is about triangles, progressing the ball up the field. And it's the fullbacks that give the overlaps, whatever. So it seems to go double pivot then to whatever fullback is available. But, why not fullback and then into the double pivot? And then you've got Kulusevski, Kane and Son disturbing their back line. They don't seem to vary it. But they didn't seem to vary it on Saturday. And, I've discussed with you, Sam, the pace on the ball. My goodness. It's like they're kicking it through 3 foot of alfalfa grass rather than, 2 inches of ordinary grass. Why they don't, professional footballers are supposedly, able to ping the ball. And we just seem, it's like, it's leisurely. It's like watching a ball, a snooker ball crossing the bays, it's just so slow. And I can't, part about progressing and putting pressure on and speed is the speed of the ball, not just necessarily the speed of the legs. And it's something we don't seem to do until second half when Conte's had to give them a rocket up their arse. Yeah, and that, that's been the way for a long time. Obviously you don't want to ping the ball into certain players in our squad, or mention no names, because it will just bounce off them. But we do need to put some pace on the ball. It's about getting past, and sometimes Højbjerg gets frustrated and he tries these Hollywood balls, and that causes us all sorts of issues when we've got a press. We've got a new tactic against us this season, which didn't apply last year. They go to a 5 when we're in possession, and then they change to a 4 when they're in possession. Yeah. We don't seem to be able. Yeah, two teams have tried that on us now. And we need to cope. We need to cope with that. This is the last full week that Conte's going to get between games. So he's going to have to use this week very, very carefully indeed, because other teams will be watching, the video clips and things like that. That's one thing about the amount of video that is now available to coaches. They can have a video ready for half time to say, this is what you're doing well, this is what you're not doing well.
They could be in the stands. Yeah. They could have their scouts in the stands. From where I was watching, you can see, both ends, and it was quite simple. I thought to myself, if one of Conte's coaches was here, surely they could see this. But again, I don't know if it's part of his way to try and play through it. But Sid, do you think there's a case of bringing other players in that might be better at the passing? Because I'm not saying it's fundamental and that's all we have to fix, because the next part of it we're talking about is going to be movement. That's essential to help the passing. What I've seen lack of is movement. That first half, I hardly saw anybody making runs. I never saw, somebody come into the ball. Like as I was saying, they tried to get Emerson into the midfield, but he trotted into midfield, was like, okay, I'm here now. What do I do? It's like he hasn't been coached properly to kind of receive or get himself into a half space where he's got, the other fullback will have to make a decision. Does he come and mark him, or do they get one of their forward players who's in that area, which is blocking the passing lanes, to then come out to him, which would then free up the passing lane for somebody to make that part? It's the movement. If they've got no movement, you can have static players in areas. That's easy to defend. I don't know if there's a case for anybody else coming into the team to help with that. What's your thoughts, Sue?
First off, proved it, right? We need someone to pass the ball, because if the way Wolves played, they were pressing us, they were playing well. They were passing basically Spurs off the pitch, because every single one of their passes was going left to right through the middle, and they were finding their players, whereas we weren't. If we've got players on the bench like Langley and people like that can pass the ball, then you play them, because at the end of the day, one ball movement, look at Van Dijk sometimes for Liverpool, that one ball over the top. Yeah. All right. I know the keepers don't make a much difference, but look at Pickford's pass yesterday for Everton's goal. He just straight through the middle, and they scored from it. And Damari Gray scored. So if you've got somebody like that can pinpoint a pass from the back, that potentially could win you a game, or at least get you a goal. Dyer does try it, like you said. Half the time it doesn't work. Davis, I don't think he does try it, but it doesn't work. And you're right. The passing and the movement, it just doesn't exist. Like Royal always lost in the middle when he's there. There was times, because I'm behind the goal, there was times where Perisic, how many times was he on his own, and the amount of space he had. Yeah. But the ball never ever once went to him. And I'm like, what is going on? Even my son's going, look, Dad, Perisic is there on his own. Why don't they pass it to him? But it's exactly what you said. By the time Emerson's got the ball, you're crying, switch it. And I think the light on him has not been switched on, because he doesn't know what to do. He's already in that position where he's thinking, oh, I'm here. Someone's put the brightness on him, and he's like, oh, where am I? What do I do? Try and do the simple thing, which he can't even do. Yeah. Look up.
I'm going to give Emerson, his defending was pretty decent in the game. So I'm not going to, I've been on Emerson's case, but I'm not one of these now. I've learned my lessons over the years. I can't just keep hammering a player just because I don't like his way of playing or his ability. He defended well. His offensive work needs to be worked on. But Sean, I think you mentioned this a couple of times before. There was a game, I think it was in the Chelsea game, when you mentioned that Emerson put in a really good cross and there was nobody there. There was a couple of times again where his balls was half decent. It's like the players, oh shit, he's made the cross now. Whereas if Perisic was down the side, you knew that there was players who were going to make that movement into that area, because they knew that he was either going to beat their man on the outside or cut inside and then create something. We haven't got that confidence with Emerson on that right from an offensive perspective. So what else can we do from that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, there was again the incident you talk about. Chelsea was that beautiful cross which landed, was on the edge of the 6-yard box. It was between the keeper and the centre back. If Kane is there, then he should be scoring that goal, but he wasn't there. And I think this poses another problem with build-up play. I'll maybe talk about later. But there was an incident on Saturday which I've seen a few times now, where Emerson did get there and everyone made the same run. Every forward made the same run, and the ball went behind them. Now someone's got to go. Someone's got to hold back. You can't all go near post or to the 6-yard line, because in actual fact it was a brilliant ball, and anyone who was about 8 yards out scores a goal with it. But of course, we're going to crucify Emerson because it went behind the players. But all 3 players that were on the edge of the 6-yard made the same run, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We've got strikers who seem to just have one mindset, or don't seem to be able to think, well, maybe this is going to go slightly behind. I'll stay back here and I'll get the goal. So let's not crucify Emerson. Sometimes our strikers aren't helping him by their runs. And I think
totally.
There's going to be an issue as well if we do get the ball to Kane and he turns it round the corner. do not expect Kane to be back in the box to head it in. That's when Kulusevski and Son have got to take responsibility and go for goal. We've got to go for goal. No mess about. As Conte said in his conference, we've got to kill the team in a sporting context.
Yeah,
they've got. If he's turning it around the corner, Kula, you've got to score. Son, you've got to score. Or Richarlison, whoever receives the ball, has to score.
I don't think our movement in the final third is. Well, I haven't seen enough quality run. Son does do it. If there's a high line, Son does. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to, and this is the other thing I've noticed, teams are playing us at home now in the last 2 games and going back into the back end of last season. Teams haven't really sat back on us. Brighton never sat back on us. Obviously, Southampton didn't, but they're poor because, you know, they you can see they're going to concede goals this year. If they had a better defense, they might have done a bit better. But Wolves, because they had these 5 in that midfield, they weren't dropping back into a low block. It was like, right, we're going to be aggressive because they know our style of play. They know our patterns of play. So for me, when you've got patterns of play that you do all the time, right, as Man United got caught out against Brentford last week, again, that goes down to, right, fundamental of your coaching. I want you to do this, this, and this. Sometimes players have to take, right, I can't keep doing that because there's 2 players pressing me here. Play a bit more direct. And I haven't seen us play enough direct. And that's going to come into the last part. And the reason why I don't think we played direct enough is because I don't think our speed of play is quick enough. You know, I think we're slow in our build-up. We're slow then to transition when we're in that final third. There's no bang, 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 get a shot for goal. It's like, okay, we're going to switch it. Okay, we can't get across it. We're going to switch it back. Now we're going to go out wide. Whereas you want someone to make that pass. That De Bruyne pass yesterday that I saw around the corner to is it Silva who made the run? Oh my God, that's the sort of through ball that you're expecting players. But you can never have that unless a player makes a movement and they're quick in terms of their thought. Sean, are we lacking speed of play in our team? In terms of speed in general, I think we're lacking in there. But our speed of thought, our speed of play, particularly in the final third, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Oh, go on then, Sean. Sorry, it was Sid, but I said Sean, didn't I? I said Sean. I did say Sean. Oh, I apologize. Go on, Sean.
Go on, Sean.
It's you know, it's not just the speed in the legs; it's the speed on the ball, and we're just not pinging that ball. You know, I mean, it's like it. I don't know. I mean, they seem to caress it rather than, you know, really hit it at times, and I think that's why we don't appear to have that speed in the final third at the moment. Whether that will come with, you know, with more, you know, more combinations, more training. As I say, this is the last full week that Conte's got with the team. He's going to have to use it really well. I'm hoping that, you know, things will progress and eventually we'll start to see some of the players coming in. I understand why Conte's holding them back. He's got players at the moment who have 7 months of experience with him. So he knows what he can get from them. And he wants those new players to see what you need to do in order to get into the team, you know. And I think he's obviously introduced Perisic, and Perisic had a brilliant second half. I think, you know, we will see Basuma, we will see the other players come along, and, you know, there will be a place for Longway. Interesting, this Thursday we've got the Champions League draw, and then we might, you know, the rotations will have to start because we're playing Saturday, we're playing Wednesday. You know, it starts in earnest from this Saturday. We're playing every 4 days from now until the World Cup.
So maybe I can then forgive Conte potentially for having the same starting 11 for, well, not particularly the same start, or the majority of the starting 11 for the first 3 games. Obviously, Perisic came in, Sanchez came in for Romero. The question I wanted to ask, and I'll ask you, Sid, we talked about that speed of play because again, the build-up needs to be better in my opinion. And this we touched on the passes. If Sanchez can play on the left, why can't Longley play on the right in the team? Because he was on the bench. Maybe he's not 100% fit. I keep saying Longley because we cannot play out the back very well. With those players that we had on Saturday, Sanchez was not very comfortable. He doesn't look comfortable on the ball. Dyer thinks he's comfortable on the ball, but doesn't always make the right decision. Ben Davies, I don't think he's his level to really play that type of way. I think when he's pressured, he gets found out. And a couple of times, he just sometimes makes that fundamental bad touch. which again doesn't help his second touch. What's your thoughts in terms of what we can do to improve the speed of play? Is it personnel change? Is it a bit more coaching? Is it just we've seen it a little bit early? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
First thing about the speed of play, right? I think you're right. We just don't have the players that can just basically speed up play. Like there's a few instances in the second half on Saturday when Richarlison got the ball and he's running with the ball, but there's not one other Spurs player trying to catch up with him or, you know, put 100% in to try and get into that box. And in the end, Richarlison's doing all he can. He had that one shot where it was a snapshot where he just went past, and then the other one he tried to come inside, and then he eventually got tackled. But when he got tackled, there was still not one Spurs player around anywhere near him. And this is the problem we've got, where apart from Son, when he's on form and he can outpace people, we haven't got players that are willing to run alongside him. For whatever reason, Conte's tactics or whatever, we're just too far back. So we need to get into that system where if we're going to counter-attack or press teams high up, then everyone has to do it together. I think it was Man City do it. Everyone else seems to do it, but we just cannot do it. And the problem we've got is that now, in terms of Sanchez, I'm going to do a show on Sanchez because we need to put a name. We need to put respect to that name now, because 7-8 games now he's played and we've not conceded a goal since, you know. So
I agree. No, like,
you know what I mean?
I'm not going to slate at all.
Yeah, and I actually thought he had a decent game at right back. I mean, playing on the right side of the three. I think he had a decent game, and all right, Romero wasn't there, but I still think he had a decent game. And I think sort of Conte I think trusts him to come in and do a job, and he's done it every time he's knocked on his door and said, "Come and do a job." Kept clean sheets, so you can't knock him. But in terms of passing it out, I think Lenglet has to come in. He's gonna have to try Lenglet at some point, like Sean said, before the Champions League starts.
Because I think this Ben Davies that's the not the only position, but the obvious position where Lenglet's going to play. Left-sided centre back, left-footed. That's Ben Davies. I don't think he's going to play him as a central where Dyer is. Dyer looks like he's the only person for that position at this moment in time. Because if he goes, I'm not confident in Tanganga, Sanchez, Davis, Romero. I'm not sure about Lenglet. I don't know his credentials in terms of playing in a free at the centre of a free, but it doesn't appear we've got a lot of options in that central area. But yeah, you're right. I just think we do need to see what it's like before we start getting into these Champions League. Sean, any thoughts on what you think the starting 11 might become this Sunday when we play Nottingham Forest?
I don't think it will be that much different from Saturday going. I think Perisic will retain the left wing back position. The only question I think at the moment is, will Richarlison get a place at the expense of Son, I think, who seems to be in a bit of a funk at the moment. But, you know, the thing about Son is that, you know, just when he's, you know, you're convinced he needs a rest, he'll score 2 goals on Saturday, you know. So I don't know. I don't think it'll be much different. I might want it to be a bit more different. I'd like to see Basuma, and I would like to see substitutions earlier than 70 minutes as well. But, you know, but by the time we made the substitutions, we were 1 up. I didn't think Wolves were going to score in the second half, to be fair. And from, you know, just from the bits I'm reading and the bits that, you know, I've seen. So, you know, Conte's got it right. You know, if we had 38 1-0 wins, we'll not only win the league, but we also get a record goal difference. So, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? We're grinding out results. We're getting points at the moment. I think, you know, we could have an Aston Villa away performance from last season on Saturday. I don't think Forest are, you know,
they don't score many goals.
They don't score many goals. We can score at will if we get behind them. They've got 16 players they're trying to integrate. I think they're even thinking of taking Reguilon on loan. Yeah. You know, it's a team that's, you know, I think they've been promoted a season too early, and they're trying desperately to stay in the division this year. Their target is 17th, so that they can get time to find their feet, and all these players will then be available for next season, you know. But
I agree.
You know, but this is a time to really take them to task and remind them how cruel and how difficult the Premier League is.
But Sean,
100%.
don't forget, right? Wolves dominated us first half, and had they had a proper striker not making his debut, they could have put us to the sword. And there's going to be teams that have come to us who, if we give them as much as possession,
Do you see that? But Nottingham Forest, one of them. I would say not.
No, but I'm on about at home. If somebody like Liverpool, City, or anybody like that come to us and we play like that first off,
we haven't got Liverpool or City at home yet.
I know, but
first time we meet them is City, and we play them away. And
yeah, but what I'm saying is, if a team with
they don't like us going to their place.
come to us, they'll put us to sword, and that's the problem.
There's enough blueprints out there. The problem I think is for any team, there's blueprints out there. The Forest manager, if he wants to go and have a tactical analysis of Spurs, just watch the first 3 games, particularly the first 20 minutes against Southampton, the whole game against Chelsea, and as I said, the majority of the game against Wolves. We got the goal. This is what we have to do. If we're playing like this, and I don't think we're playing the best football in the world, but we're getting results. We've got 7 points out of 9, 7 more points out of the teams than we got last. We talked about all this, but we can't keep playing like this, particularly at home, and think we're going to get away with it against better teams, particularly teams who take their chances. Wolves never took their chances. Southampton didn't really take their chances, and Chelsea definitely didn't take their chances.
Yeah, but is that not down to us not allowing them the chances?
Yeah, it's a combination of things, Sean. As I said, long may it continue.
What did Hugo have to do on Saturday? Tell me.
No.
I didn't have a recognised striker. They didn't have a recognised striker. He was making his debut, so he's got to get used to the system. Had they had a proper striker, fit and proper Premiership,
well, I'm sorry, they didn't. They didn't. Stop panicking. Stop panicking.
I'm not panicking. I'm just saying.
Sure.
You know, we need to improve our first off.
Stay calm. Good God. What's happened to Sam? He was giving us League and Champions League earlier this
No. What I'm a coach at the end of the day. I like to see progressive football. Conte said it himself. I've had these players now for 7 months. They've got the wind in their backs, but I'm still seeing the similar type things that we're doing 7 months ago. So
yeah, but you know what we aren't seeing? We aren't conceding points to Wolves.
The difference is
we're getting points at Chelsea.
100% mentality has definitely shifted. That is a tick in the box. Now, home, we've got to make sure that the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as it's currently called, has to be a fortress for us. Teams have to come there and think, Jesus Christ, it's Tottenham. Not, oh yeah, we put 5 midfield and we can get a tune out of this lot. That's not what I want to see. So we have to make it a fortress. The crowd has to help with doing that. The players, but also the management team. Conte has to see sometimes. I know he's stubborn, and I know the top managers are, and they're not going to want to go too much from their philosophy. But certainly tweaks in terms of personnel. I just want to see a bit of that. So yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I know there's a big game on and I want to go and watch that big game. But before we do that, make sure you like this stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel and look out for these guys here. There's one that side, there's one there and there as well, who've got shows coming out soon. Sid on Friday. Sean, we have to rearrange your show. We know that. He's on the phone. He's looking like he's on the phone, by the way, but he's not. He's listening intently.
We should acknowledge Craig Bowley. He's been putting in some comments in the.
I am. Craig is here. All right, so Craig, let's just get to Craig then. They just have to outnumber us in midfield and we struggle. This is what we've touched on. This is what I've touched on. There was 5 in the middle against us on Saturday, and if the team just worked it out, there was the wide areas were so available. Conte also said he's trying to implement new tactics and the players need to work it out for themselves. Agreed. That's how you determine a good player. You give them a challenge, you see if they can work out. It's not like, right, what do I do? What do I do? Because professional footballers should have a bit of intelligence, a lot of intelligence. Apart from Perisic, our wing-backs aren't good enough to allow Kulu to play the number 10 role with Kane and Son up front. Kulu kept coming into midfield, but you're right, the passing lanes weren't there, David, because there was 5 players from Wolves. So even when they did that, you can't find players who are behind players. But we tried and it failed at times. That's average Italian 1-0 job done. Load up the van, we'll have a pint.
Good one, Kevin.
Three things, right? I want to say, before we end this program. Number one, we need to learn to be a little bit less aggressive in the sense where I cannot understand how we only managed to get one yellow card in that first half, because I tell you what, I don't know if you think the same, Sam, but we should have had a fair few yellow cards in that first half, because some of them challenges that were going in were rash. Yeah. And he needs to.
It's just Man City, mate. We're just learning from the best.
I know, but that right. Second point, Kulu needs to stop going down easily and then staying on the floor whining. He should just get up and carry on with play, because there was once or twice where he went down, he stayed down, and Wolves were attacking us, and he's still on the floor whining. And I think the fans got quite thingy with him. And the third and final point I'm going to say is I've got a very, very interesting theory in my head at the moment that's circulating, right? I'm going to give it another couple of games, and then I'm going to bring it to all of yours attentions. It will shock a lot of Tottenham fans, all of you, including you, Sam, including you, Sean. But I've got this theory.
I'm used to that when you did. I'm used to that. You pulling these transfer stories out of the hat. Yeah.
Honestly,
Sid,
it's going to shock a lot of people, right? But I'm going to give you another few games to see how this progresses. But I've got a very, very funny feeling something is brewing. Yes.
Interesting. Well, the transfer window does close in 8 days, 9 days time, whatever it is. Yeah. So we ain't got too far to wait for that. And you haven't got too far to wait till our next show, because we will be doing we're not going to do the preview show on Thursday. I thought we was going to do it first because the game's Sunday now, isn't it? So yeah, Sid's going to be out first.
Sid says Friday.
So look out, Sid says Friday. Beyond that, I'll be back again. Couldn't make the last one, but I'll be back for this one.
No, I'm not. Jews. Sorry, I'm just replying to Jews. No, I'm not.
What's Jew saying? What's Jew saying?
An AFC fan.
Cheeky.
I am. I'm an Aldershot Football Club fan, yeah. I support Aldershot.
So look out for Sid Says on Friday. Look out for the preview show for the game against Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 12 o'clock. And then we've got the reaction show after the game, 6:30-ish on Sunday. So there's a few things. Judge Jodi as well to look out for. Player ratings. If you haven't caught up with the player ratings from the previous game, go ahead and check that out. Check also Deji Spurs, who did his solo mission. I liked his solo mission.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Spot on half an hour as well. 30, I think it was 29:59. I said, well done, Dej, for that one. That's what I like. Timing was exquisite. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. Look out for Sid Says and all them other shows I've mentioned before. Now it's time to go and watch two teams that are not quite out of the mud. Two teams that one of them could be in.
And my final message is, don't panic. Don't panic.
Let's go and do a bit of Frankie and watch two teams go to war.
Yes. We're Spurs fans. We've always got to panic. We've always got to discuss. You know what I mean? But this is all it's about. It's just having a round the table pub talk without the pint in the round. I've got no pints. So, yeah, I'm going to go and look and see if I can find one in the fridge now. But that is the end of the show. Sid, Sean, superb as per usual.